Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I? It's a and we are never gonna take bad habits lead to late nights. I'm begging you. You tell me things you wanna try.
Wow, look at that. My thing already started. I didn't even touch any buttons.
Unreal.
That's kind of perfect intro.
It really
just
is.
queued right up.
Come on,
You know,
fix the
but
fucking
yeah,
tablets
we
so
said,
smart.
we said
fucking
no.
gears together.
We said no background noise.
We're not
Jared.
gonna, we're not gonna, we're just gonna.
Alright, sorry.
That's fine.
All right. Stefan, so you just decoyed today at
Yeah.
East Coast Regionals.
East Coast.
Do you know how many East Coast Regionals you've done?
3.
3?
3.
Okay. How did today's East Coast Regionals compare to other ones you've done in the past?
Well, more experience definitely helped for sure, because the first one that I ever did was with you, actually, here in New Jersey, but with the other club, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being a novice decoy at the time, and also yourself and whatnot, and we were with guys like Jeff Riccio, Josh Knowlton, being judged by Sean Edwards, who is emeritus and a judge now. Taking from what it is that we got from out of those guys back then, and now applying it more today. It's just the difference between how the confidence level is what I'm saying, right? Going into that one versus this one, it was night and day.
Your confidence,
Yes.
like as a decoy.
Yes.
What? All right. So like, what gives you more confidence as a decoy, right? So like, if you're regional select, like that should give you a little bit of confidence, right?
For sure.
Whether that's your first year or not, right?
Yeah.
So what is it now that makes you feel more comfortable? We talked about this earlier tonight at dinner, and I wanted to just stop. Like you said, you still get nervous, but it's a different nervous. What do you mean?
I want to return the dog back to the handler the same way that it's sent on us, right? So having the experience level now, different back then, our movement wasn't as fluid, right? Because we were still trying to figure things out a little bit. The muscle memory wasn't the best that it was. And now, all of these years later, just going into it, I'm not worried about my movement because our bodies already know what they're doing before it is that we even get there. Now it's like, oh, am I gonna get bit in the fucking chest?
So yeah, so like, what do you worry about?
Yeah, but just hurting a dog. Never want to hurt a dog. Don't want to get taken out, for sure. Not. And I want to put on a good show. I want to get the dog up in the air. I want to get in my drive as fast as possible, right? I'm not trying to get stood up as a decoy and just get blown up. Ooh, bang, bang, right?
So this year, you became a senior decoy for PSA.
Yeah.
And you've done a few trials since getting that news, right?
Yeah.
What has changed for you since getting that news and now going to trials as a senior decoy?
I want the younger decoys to go into scenarios with as much confidence as we have, right? And a lot of that is just doing it more and more over again. And one of the things that I say now as a senior decoy is do things at a comfortable speed. You have to do that because, again, going back to my point of you want to return the dog safely back to the handler, right? Don't try to be somebody that you're not, okay? So yes, we want to go 100,000 miles an hour and catch this dog and make it look pretty, but if you already know that you're not capable of doing that, given the experience that you have, then you don't have the right to be doing that once you're on the trial field, right? Because the biggest thing is going to be the consistency of it, right? That's what a judge is looking at. That's what a decoy or anybody else is going to be looking at, right? So don't try to pretend to be somebody that you're not, right?
So knowing like where you're strong,
yes,
right? And using that to, test the dog
yes.
on the field.
Yes.
Right? So speaking of strengths, right? Where do you find that you're the strongest test as a decoy, right? And how do you try and show that, or how do you try and test the dogs, right, to the hardest ability of Stefan, right?
Yeah.
Similar to my size, right? Like 5'11", right?
Yeah.
165, 170 pounds,
yeah.
right? How do you use strengths to make yourself the hardest test for the dog?
For me, it's about speed, right? So like how fast I'm coming at the dog and how fast I can get into my transition. That's what it is that I look at. And that's what it is that I find dogs that give a lot of them problems, right? Because they're not used to just getting caught and then immediately, right, just going right into the drive, because they're just like, oh my gosh, like I just got caught and now I got set down and it was a stutter step, or it just takes a second to get up into that
right
fifth gear.
So
right?
I did a whole video, people can look back on the the drive transitioning from you've caught the dog and now you got to drive them, right? And that's the whole reason, like, if decoys don't understand, right? That's the whole reason we run drive here in this sport. Is it's really hard to get a full grip on a suit, right? No matter how good the dog is, it's really hard.
Yes.
But if the dog's pushy, right, as soon as they have a second, right, or they feel some power over the decoy, they're going to push in full, right? But if your catch and your transition and your speed is good into the drive, they don't ever get a second, right?
Yes.
So whatever grip they got is the grip the judge sees, right? And then that's the grip that gets scored, right? But if your transition is slow and they do have a second and it's a strong dog, right?
Yes.
He gets in there and maybe that's the grip the judge sees, right?
Exactly.
And now it's a half point, a point, maybe more that the dog just earned on you, right? And where like French ring, they're trying to take points from the dog by keeping him off, right? The dog has 10 available grip points on most bites, right? Or 5, right? If he strikes, and he's only gonna get 8 of those points because of that strike, I don't want to let him get that next point. I don't want to let him get to 9 on me because my transition was slow enough that he got in there a little bit more, right? So that's like the speed factor, right?
Yes.
That's where it becomes like important as a decoy in terms of the test.
Yes. And one of the things that has happened a number of times in trial with me is dogs will out early because of however it is that their training was, because of the speed of things, and then all of a sudden they get a freeze up like that, then the dog is just like, oh, I know I'm supposed to out at this point, right? Which in our mind we're like, you kind of didn't really want to be there, But at the same time, like, that's just them more reading the situation instead of listening to the command discrimination from the handler, right? Does that make sense? Right? So, in terms of speed and your presence, it's very important on my end to be as fast that I can be. So then that way, that's my biggest test towards the dog, is the speed of how it is that I do things, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the way into a fast, hard freeze up, right?
Yes.
That drastic difference, that's kind of what you mean, you know?
Yes.
Like, wow, we were just moving so fast, now we're dead stop. Something's wrong here. Probably should let go.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I never thought about it that way, because a lot of times we think of that as like, you know, maybe weak dog, right? Doesn't want to be there. But then if it's just such a stark difference from like, we are fucking cruising right now to dead stop, like something's wrong.
Yes.
I'm wrong.
Yes.
I let go early.
Yes.
Okay. So what, PSA decoy, right?
Yep.
Of the scripted PSA scenarios, you get any choice to work at a trial. What are you picking?
I always want to run at dogs. So
Good sport to choose.
well, yeah, so it's like PSA, we're always testing the dog from a frontal picture, right? You don't see a mandatory flea attack until the level 2 2-man. There's a flea attack in a level 1, but that's a surprise scenario. You're not guaranteed that scenario in trial, right? So it's a lot of frontal pressure, and I enjoy the running factor, and again, being fast at it. So I either want to do the level 1 courage test, the 2-man courage test, and a 3, right? But if I could pick exactly one scenario, then I want level 1 courage, because the most pressure as a trial decoy is on you in the level 1 courage. That is the scenario that the whole entire crowd is looking at you. You're out there by yourself in a level 2 2-man, right? Like we did it yesterday. You know, eyes are on both of us, right? Dog has a choice of who it is that they want to go to.
Me.
Right? And this guy got all of them.
Got all 4.
Oh my gosh, I was so mad. But the level 1 card test for sure.
Why? Like, all right, so frontal pressure, speed.
Frontal
right?
pressure, speed, but also like it also puts a hell of a lot of pressure on your fucking damn self.
You.
Like, do you suck or are you good? Right? Like, let's not sugarcoat this. Like, if you suck, and now talking to 2 senior decoys, if you suck, and we're not putting you in the level 1 courage test, because again, all eyes are on you. Your timing needs to be perfect. You have to multitask. You have to toss a bag, and your bag can't just go fucking sailing way the hell over into no man's land. It has to be a distraction towards the dog, because your goal is to throw the dog off of its line, right? And we hold our lines. Yes, we'll make our adjustments if we have to in trial, but the pressure between running at a dog from so far away like that and having the pressure of the whole entire crowd looking at you, like, that's a big deal, right? And that's something that I very much so embrace, right? Like, in a basketball game, like, are you going to be taking the last shot? Maybe not, right? Or are you? Do you want the ball or do you not want the ball? Do you want the dog or do you not want the dog, right? And I want
So it's a test
dog.
of courage for Stefan.
Yeah.
As much as the dog.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
Why do you think you know, like, why do you want that, right? Why running at dogs? Why extra pressure of a courage test, right? At a regionals. I've seen you do it at a nationals, right?
Yeah.
Why do you do that, right? Because we do all these things for free, right? At these trials. It's all volunteer. Nobody's making you be there. In fact, you pay money to go to a certification. A lot of times you pay money to go to the trial, right? A lot of times you are taking yourself off of work for a couple of days,
Yep.
right? So most of the time it ends up costing you, right? Something, right? Could be relationships, could be whatever,
Dude.
you know. But most of the time there's a cost, right?
Yes.
So why put extra pressure on yourself to put yourself in that position or to want to be in that position for you?
Because I want to in the level 1 cards test, right? Like, you're able to expose the animal for what it really is, right? Like, in a level 1 handler attack, like, the distance is very, very short. The dog doesn't have a lot of speed coming in. So a lot of it in the level 1 handler attack, right? It's your presence that really matters, right? Whereas now, essentially, a cards test is just a prey bite, right? Like, you're sending your dog way downfield, and yes, I'm running at you and testing your courage, but if you've trained appropriately and that dog, like, it's not much pressure going into it. Have you ever ran a dog in a level 1 courage test?
Yes.
On entry?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
But it's not as common. I get it, right?
You know what I mean? Like, because our presence really matters.
If they made it through the handler attack, usually they don't run from the courage test decoy, right?
Right.
But it is a harder catch for the decoy, right?
Yes. 100%. So it's like when I've ran a dog in a level 1 cards test, it happens in the drive. Right? Because and this is when we could still do stick hits in the air and do 4 stick hits and 5 and 6 sometimes, right? But how fast you get into that transition and or catch it appropriately, because some dogs come in with a fucking entry.
Yeah.
Right, but then once they're in the drive where they're actually vulnerable and you're coming down with some wood, now they start to question themselves, right? And they either go, nope, I'm out of here, and or out early, whatever the case may be. The point is that in that moment, you're able to expose the animal for what its true capability is my point. Right? Like, the bangers, we're gonna get way up in the air. The dogs that come in that don't necessarily have an entry or are questioning themselves, those catches don't necessarily look so good. Right? Just because they're just coming in, they're kind of slow, right? Whether it's heavier or not that good, you know, sometimes they're immediately pulling. It takes you a second to get into your drive. Like, for me, the level 1 card test, like, you're exposing the animal of what it is that they are capable of the most.
Sometimes with that bite, probably more than any other, the dog can expose you, though, right?
For sure.
So, like, the dog has to come out and make 1 good courage test on you, right? At a big trial, you might have to make 8 good courage tests, right? And the only one people remember is the one that wasn't so good, right? So talk to me for a second about when a catch isn't your best, right? When something, you know, the dog centers you up, the dog does something funky, the dog flies off, right? Maybe a dog even gets hurt, right? Something different happens that wasn't ideal, right? What's going through your head when you're in a trial and you know you have to continue the trial, right? How do you, like, process that in the moment?
That's actually kind of tough, because a couple times, you know, dogs have gone flying off of me, and that is, like, equally, a lot of it is timing, right? But it can equally be the dog's fault and also my fault. Like, did I go into it with more confidence than I should have, and I pulled my arm a little bit, right? Did the dog actually grip down hard enough? The scariest thing is always when the dog goes flying off of you, right? And and dogs do the flip, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, right? Naturally, because we're not trying to hurt animals, we stop for a second, right? When we're supposed to continue that forward momentum. But then normally those dogs that go flying off of you like that are ultra confident and something went wrong in terms of movement and timing, right? Because the dog just recuperates. We freeze for that 1 second. Oh, the dog's okay. And now, boom, we're on them, right? Situation yesterday at the club trial. Regionals was today. The club trial was yesterday. I had stepped on a dog during the muzzle fight, and that was very difficult because the dog smoked me right away. Not right away. He just recentered and did a directional on me, but smoked me, and I got super pumped up about it. I was like, "Oh, this dog is about to. This dog is just brought it. Like, here we go." And I was on him, and hits me, toss him, comes back up, and I'm pretty positive I stepped on his foot, and I was in cleats, and this dog clearly like exposed itself that it was hurt. And so again, I freeze up for 1 second, and I'm like, what the fuck, like, is he good? And the cleats that I wear are not like it hurt him, right? Sure. And the dog still got up and was willing to engage on me. And just what was going through my head and how it is that I recuperated from that was that it's a trial setting. My job is here to test. Like, I have to stay consistent and continue to bring the same amount of pressure. So it's just one of those things where in trial, like, errors are going to happen for sure, and we still have to keep on going forward.
Do you find it difficult to go into the next dog?
A little bit. You find yourself a little bit abrasive, and it's like, oh my gosh, because immediately, like, when that happens, and especially when a dog yelps, like the crowd doesn't necessarily see what we see. You and the other decoys, the judge, don't necessarily see what the crowd sees. So immediately now you have that self-conscious of like the dog, the crowd thinks that like I intentionally hurt the dog, which is very, very difficult. And that's the last thing that any of us want to do ever. So, I could have cried on the field yesterday for real. Like I had to hold the tears back because again, like to the integrity of the sport, we're not out there to hurt animals at all. Right? Like, we're there to test animals, and he brought the heat on me, and so in tune, I got super, super excited, like, here we go, like, let's go, and was just on him so quickly. And unfortunately, like, between the speed of how fast I got on him, this is a little bit of an older shepherd, right, and his timing to come back on to me, right, everything just happened so fast. And going into the next one, like, I was thinking about the last one that I just did. So to get over that thing, you just have to go, all right, it's in the past, and we just got to keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah, it's a super, like, uncomfortable moment, right? Especially when you're in those, like, solo scenarios and something doesn't go right? Because it's it's on us, right? It's our fault, right? And then we have to own it. We have to maintain the scenario, the progression of the trial, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes a dog is injured, and sometimes a dog is just not super into that bite. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe that we're not doctors, right? We can't tell if the dog is hurt, and we have to continue, right? And then it becomes this little bit of a question, right? And then maybe the dog just didn't really want to be there, right? Sometimes if a dog comes flying off, you see them land and they don't come back in, they run away. And you're like, did he run away because of the pressure? Did he not stick the grip because of the pressure? Or did he land and hurt himself and now he's running away? And you're like, in doubt, but then here you are kind of the bad guy here. And most of the time we're these pretend bad guys, and now all of a sudden, at least to that handler, You're their real bad guy,
Yes.
right? And then you got to come out and like expect that next handler to, hey, no, trust me, I can catch this dog downfield and do it safely, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's super tough spot that we get put in as trial decoys, right? And like we said, like
For sure.
we're volunteering to do this, right? And it's not a paid job, right? There's very little accolades in being a decoy, you know, selections for higher events, but again, even those higher events, like, you know, it's
Costly.
It
right?
can be very costly to do. And then the equipment it's all right. It's all has a cost, and then there's a very real risk of injury for ourselves as well. Have you had any injuries to yourself from doing decoy work?
Thankfully, to the big man upstairs, no.
Nice. Do you do anything to like maintain your health and your body while doing a lot of decoy work? Just relying on youth right now?
But a little bit of youth, right? I mean, just turning 30, right? So, whatever. But I work a lot of dogs, and, you know, gym has always been a love-hate relationship, right? For me personally, you know, for those that don't know, we're both professional dog trainers, so from the time that we wake up till the time that we go to bed, we're training dogs to some certain extent. And one of the things that we specialize in, obviously, is just the decoying, right? So when you continue to decoy the volume of dogs that we work on a daily basis, like, the way that I have it in my head is that's our workout.
You stay in shape by working dogs.
Staying in shape by working dogs, yes. Now, would it be better if I was in the gym? Probably, but it's an art, right? Decoying is an art, you know, like there's a bunch of fat motherfuckers in MMA, that you think they are fucking bums, but they would kill you. They would literally fucking kill you.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're very good at the art. They understand the manipulation of the sport that it is that they compete in, and when they constantly do it on a daily basis, you know, you can come in and essentially look like a bum, and this dude is gonna throw bombs at you and be able to choke you out in the blink of an eye.
So what would you say now, right? How long you been doing trial work?
Since 2013.
So nearing in on 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? What is an area that Stefan can improve?
Get myself larger. Like, no, for real, like just like in terms of speed, it's like but I can run at a dog fast and I can drive a dog fast, but because I'm, you know, not 200 pounds, I don't have the same exact presence as somebody that's 200 pounds plus. Now, if I'm in the gym and I weigh, you know, 185, 195, 200, whatever the case may be, like, my presence is going to be a lot more firm, and I'm sure I would probably be even faster than it could be. So for me, it's really just like a personal and honestly getting myself larger than what it is that I am.
Like that,
you know?
That's kind of why I've gravitated towards like level 1 courage test and not handler attacks, is because handler attack decoys, to me, like, you're coming out from hiding, you need to be explosive, get up to speed right as you come around the corner, and have a scary presence, and sometimes being large makes that easier.
Yes.
My handler attacks, I feel they're fine, but I don't run a lot of dogs there. But I feel very comfortable catching anything downfield at a great distance. And I think, from a distance, the size isn't as much of the issue, maybe as they close in, but when you pop out of nowhere, that size is very intimidating, right? But whether it's me or someone 50 pounds bigger than me downfield at a great distance, like not so much of a contrast, right? So I'm like, okay, like I can compete with a larger decoy when I'm far downfield, and then it's just me and the dog and a stick, right? I don't rely on I'm not relying on cans here. So I about courage test is I feel comfortable catching anything, right? I feel comfortable with the distance.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm faster when I have time to get up to speed.
And normally, I even want to increase the distance, right? Like,
we
like today, you even said
you can back that up a little bit.
Back that up a little bit, right? And it's like, don't shy away from that either. Like, I want to be coming at that dog at the most top speed that I possibly can, and I even say to some stewards and or a judge just to put a bug in their ear, per se, to elaborate on the handler attack perspective, right? Of wave them out early. Let this decoy come out and be at top speed when the hit, when the hit happens. And it sucks from our perspective, and this isn't necessarily anybody's fault, but just how the field is set up in a certain way. When you're waved out and you just come out of the blind and the dog is just there, right? Your presence is only whatever distractions it is that you have.
You don't have us, right?
Yeah.
When you're a
don't
very
have the
large
speed
decoy,
factor.
it's boom, that can be a great test, but we want to be moving.
Yes. Yes.
I feel
100%.
I feel that 100%.
100%, dude. Let us expose ourselves and the dog of the best potential we can within the scenario. So let's increase the distance maybe a little bit. So exactly how I said, the decoys in a higher drive, right? A higher speed, and the dog has to cover more distance, to actually process what it is that they're facing, right? Because a lot of times in the handler attack, you're looking at reactivity, right? Especially if the decoy is waved out super late. It's just there they are, and yes, I engage on that. Cool. But allowing the dog to actually process that,
right,
you may be able to expose a little bit something else and give the dog time to process what it is that they're facing, and they may question themselves, or they're yeah, fuck you. That's some presence and I want to fuck you up.
Yeah, and that's the difference, right? Some people, for them, the shock and awe of boom, here I am, that's the test. For some, it's nope, here I am and I'm still coming, right?
Yeah.
That's the test. Right.
100%.
And that's what's interesting to me about different people's strengths, right? And then being a senior decoy, right, you have to look at your decoys, look at their experience level. Maybe you think about the competition field that day and think about okay, I know this guy's going to be the best test here, and this guy's going to be the best test here. He's a little bit newer, so he's going to go here, right? And then maybe we need to push this decoy outside his comfort zone to this area, right? Or these dogs may be shock and awed by this guy here, right? Yep. As much as I like doing environmental inside the back of a car, right? Yeah. I'm not necessarily the best test for that, right? If there's a long open field, whatever, I'm that's me, I'll take that. Put me way down there. I know I can catch them. I know I can move with them, right? I like when it's just me and the dog, right? Yep. And if it's, a bunch of guys in this spot, I'll join in. But if it's hey, we just want one decoy in here with the water, I'm all right, that's probably not me, right? And I know that, but I know not to put myself there if we're trying to put on the best test, right? And that's something as a senior I think about, right? Yes. Not just what people want to do, but I'm what's going to be the best test, right? Because that's what we're trying to do. Yes. To the dogs, right? 100%.
100%. And so to piggyback off of that, right? As a trial decoy, don't pretend to be somebody that you're not, right? Like
Right.
I made this analogy in terms of stewarding, right? I was asked to steward a 3, and I was like, the fuck I'm stewarding a level 3 obedience. No. It's like, I'll remember what I got to do as a decoy, but to call that out to a handler and be looking down at a piece of paper and be the one to be calling out the scenario, like, that's a little bit of a big deal, because then you fuck it up, the judge is going to be on you, right? And in a level 3, like, that's not something that I've done myself. Yes, I've decoyed it for sure, but I haven't done it. So calling that out is a pretty big deal to me. In a level 2, like, things are pretty static. Like, the pressure isn't so much, right? You can communicate to the handler. Whereas in a level 3, there's so many skills that the dog has to do. There's so many things going on in terms of the decoy, of their timing, of when they're adding pressure, when they're not, specifically to how the routine is designed. There's just a lot going on, and I was just like, nope. But here's a level 3 competitor that has a level 3 and has stewarded a level 3. Let's have him. He's the better option, right? Sure. So as a senior decoy, you look at that and you look at where it is that's your better option and where is the better test, right?
Yeah.
You know, so in terms of that, it's an ongoing process of self-evaluating. Right, and understanding who it is that you are. Where is it that I fit the best, right? And for a guy like me, I fit the best downfield, running at dogs, and catching them in a way that this dog has not been caught before, and driven at a speed that they haven't been driven at before. When I'm coming down with some fucking wood, you know.
So, new trial decoy, just certified this year, right? What's your biggest don't do this and your biggest piece of advice? And we'll leave it with that.
Your biggest don't do this, and what was the other thing?
Your biggest piece of advice and your biggest
piece
advice
of advice
for don't do that.
And don't ever do this.
Things to do, things not to do.
Got it.
Make it easier.
Never, and especially we're talking trial decoy.
Trial
right?
decoy.
Trial decoy.
Just certified.
Just
first
certified.
Year.
Yep.
What are you telling them?
Got it. Never, ever bail. Because if you bail, like, now you're not only questioning yourself, but now you have the potential to fuck up the dog, right? Because now the dog is biting down here versus up here, right? Our dogs bite in the bicep, not in the fucking forearm, for Christ's sake, right? So never ever bail. Right. Know who it is that you are, right? So what it is.
But they don't know, right? They don't know what their trial strength is yet. So how do we figure that out?
Tell me what it is that you want to do.
Okay.
Tell me what it is that you want to do, and I'll go, okay, sounds good. Let's see it. And when it is that I see it, then I'll be able to pinpoint where it is that you did this very correct or where it is that you did this very wrong, right? Your timing matters. As dog trainers, as trial decoys, your timing very much so matters, right? And the other thing is that tell the senior decoy what it is that you want to do. Because at this point, if you're a certified trial decoy, you have a perception as to what it is that you are.
Okay.
Right? And you should have a certain knowledge within yourself of what it is that you're good at, right? And take the time to focus on the things that you're bad at when you're in fucking training, right? And then gain the confidence in that in training. So then that way, the next time that you come out to a trial, say, hey, I've been working on my card chess. I've been working on my handler attacks. I've been working on my carjackings, right? I've been working on my environmentals, right? And you can go to the senior decoy and say, hey, I want to do this. As a senior decoy, I want the more junior decoys or anybody to come up to me and say, hey, I want to do this. And pending how it is that I know you or your level of how long, or you said the first year, right? Like then I'll say, okay, yes, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let me see it. Let me see what it is that you got. And you earn your time to do more complex things, right? If I can't trust you to do, say, a PDC handler attack, you're not doing the level 1 handler attack, nor are you doing a level 2 two-man, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're getting put in you know, the carjacking, the fended, right? Where it's just a lot of static behavior and not even a call-off, because that's essentially static. You have to do a mannerism pending what it is that the judge is doing, but you're catching a dog from 75, 80 yards away, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you can't do those simple tasks of like a carjacking or a PDC handler attack, right? Then I can't trust you to do a thing that's something that long, because I know that you're just gonna get oh my god, there they are, and then your eyes are gonna go fucking like this. Holy shit, this dog is coming in really fast. Right? And then you bail on him.
When I see a newer decoy and we put them on the PDC handler attack, if they kill it, like then the next day I'm like, all right, you want to do the ones?
Right.
I want to hear them go, yes. Right? Yeah. Like I want to hear that confidence. Like, yes, I
want to
do,
see the
right?
intuition.
And I want to do that, right?
Yeah,
then it's like,
sure.
Perfect, you're doing it. You did great yesterday, right? If they didn't do so great, I'm not even going to ask, right? I'll be like, maybe PDC Courage, right? We'll move you over to this one.
Right.
See you there, right? Mm-hmm. But one thing I like is when a newer decoy wants to volunteer. Even if I don't 100%. Put you in that spot, but they're like, I'll do the handler attack. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to have Jimmy do it. And they're like, I'll do the courage. I'm like, nah, and Johnny's going to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're going to do the, you know, the
and
flea bite,
note
right?
That, right?
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, I like it, right? Mm-hmm. Do good on this one, and then tomorrow, right?
For sure.
But I want to see guys that are eager, man. They're ready, right?
Yeah.
Don't make me come and find you.
Right.
Right? When I'm looking for decoys for the next level, we're setting up, I don't want to fucking come and find you, right? If I have to come and find you, I'm going to come and get you to go do the carjacking, right? You know? I'm gonna find you, and it's going to be, hey, Timmy, you're out of the carjack.
Right.
You're actually over here now.
Right.
And I'm going to go find Johnny to do the carjack.
Yes.
Because, you know,
you want to see that self-confidence
when we're there,
decoys, right? when we're there, right? And being in that position as, say, you know, a junior decoy, and when we're decoying with Sean Siggins and Jeff Riccio and Sean Edwards, or right, like these guys that have been in the sport from the beginning, and it's just like, you know, from him and I's perspective, we were always those people that, yes, me, hello. Like me, hello, and it was ours to fuck up, right? So like, and we didn't. Why? Just because we had that sense of self urgency to get better at those things, which what gave us the confidence to go ahead and say, hey, I want to do those things. And they looked at that and they were just like, all right, let's see what it is that we got. Again, it's his to fuck up. How is it? You know. Like that's really the biggest thing in it for me, is just have the self-confidence in knowing yourself, show that sense of urgency, right? And to piggyback off of what you were saying, you know, it's like, okay, like, thanks for saying that, but you're not ready just because of what it is that we saw the first day.
Sure.
You know? And but you work on it the next time that I see you in a month, 2 months, however long it is, all right, like, you just showed the same sense of urgency again a second time, saying that you wanted to do it, and you didn't do it the last time. Now I'm going to give it to you. You know? Keep on wanting to do the things that make you uncomfortable. right?
Right.
Because that's how you get comfortable with the things that make you uncomfortable, right?
Beautiful. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. This was not sponsored by Chorus itself, but by us as Chorus.
This has been Decoy in the Chair with Stefan Herceg.